Good evening. You are tuning in to AWANI Tonight with me, Cynthia Ng. The government's future policies and reforms will adopt an approach to tax only when necessary, says Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim. Anwar, who is also Finance Minister, says Putrajaya should ensure that collected taxes are spent wisely without leakages.
For a country, our policy is to tax when it is absolutely necessary, and number two, it should not be ever to be considered as a burden to the taxpayers. Our intention, of course, to encourage them to be more productive and contribute to the nation. But as you know, for a growing economy with such ambition and to contribute to the welfare of those who have been deprived and marginalized, the taxation and tax institutions and agencies must be very efficient, very clean, and very effective.
Proposed amendments to the Security Offences Special Measures Act 2012 or SOSMA are being studied to fit current times. Deputy Law and Institutional Reform Minister Ramkrapal Singh says improvements to the law are being reviewed with the Home Ministry, Police and Attorney General's chambers.
In a statement, Ramkrapal said he was confident the recommendations will be brought for the government's consideration in the near future. He also urged relatives of detainees under SOSMA to remain patient and call off their hunger strike for the sake of the young children involved. Ramkrapal said 12 engagement sessions on this matter were chaired by him since February, adding that these involved relevant stakeholders, including the detainees and their family members. Around 100 family members of 69 SOSMA detainees started a hunger strike outside Sungai Buloh prison on Monday to protest the detention of inmates. Of the 69 inmates, 34 detainees are reportedly being held at Sungai Buloh, while the remainder are in Alor prison, Kedah.
The prosecution in Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi's corruption trial has yet to decide on dropping the 47 charges involving Yayasan Akal Budi. Deputy Public Prosecutor Datuk Muhammad Dusuki Mokhtar told the High Court that the review is still ongoing and there is no decision yet.
He told the court the Attorney General's Chambers, or AGC, was still waiting for findings of further investigations by the MACC's Special Task Force regarding new evidence presented by the defence. Zahid, also the Rural and Regional Development Minister, had sent a 200-page letter of representation to the AGC to consider for the charges against him to be dropped. The first letter of representation was submitted in January, while the latest, with facts and new evidence, was sent in February. Zahid is standing trial on charges of money laundering and criminal breach of trust involving tens of millions of ringgit from Yayasan Akal Budi and accepting bribes for various projects during his time as Home Minister.
The Petaling Jaya Dispersal PJD Link project may be revived if its developer fulfills the requirements set by the state, says Datuk Seri Amiruddin Shari. The announcement comes just a day after the caretaker Selangor Menteri Besar scrapped the project for not meeting conditions set by the state government. In response to this, Petaling Jaya residents have called on the government to reject all future urban tolled elevated highways passing through mature neighborhoods. Sustainable PJ Association President T. Chakravarti said while it welcomes the cancellation of the PJD Link project, PJ is still at risk of similar developments in future. These developments, according to him, lack the systems and structures that are required to ensure sustainable development and would negatively impact individual lives and the prospect of PJ as a green city. Chakravarti also urged for the government to develop a public transport master plan rather than new highways as means to reduce congestion. His group also intends to proceed with an ongoing judicial review over the authorities' alleged refusal to hand over the environmental impact assessment report and other documents linked to the PJD Link project. Out of the 570 candidates fielded for the state elections, only 71 were women. This translates to only 12.5% of all the candidates contesting in this round of state elections. Dr. Zarini Azmi from University Science Malaysia explores the factors contributing to scarce opportunities for women to be nominated as candidates.
If you look at the percentage, I think Pakatan Harapan managed to fill in more women, but still it doesn't reach 20%. I think in the history, none of the coalition actually reached 20%. Achieving greater women representation in the general elections in a political leadership position has been a challenge, not only in politics, but mostly in political institutions, because those positions dominated by men. And there are various reasons to contribute to this, okay? But it goes back to the roots, the fact that gender stereotypes, gender discrimination is one of the main reasons. So this leading to a bias in candidate selection also influence voters' perceptions. Male politician patrons continue to hold significant influence in promoting specific women to position of power. So women receive less recognition, less role models, and if they are fielded as candidates, mostly in unwinnable seats.
Zarini highlighted that Muda was the sole political party where more than 50% of its candidates were women.
Muda is a young political party. They don't have warlords in their political structure or in their party, okay? So in older party, male incumbents dominate leadership groups. So it's a challenge for women to secure nation or to rise to prominent positions. So Muda may offer more opportunities to women to contest or to succeed in internal candidate selection process.
Moving forward, Zarini proposed several ways for other political parties to promote gender equality.
All political parties need to ensure that all party documents, they use gender-sensitive language that reflects the party's commitment to gender equality. You don't have to start today because we already have the list of candidates, you know. But another way is perhaps the most effective way to ensure more women as a candidates to at least to have or to amend party's constitution, or to have a quota system, or to have informal policy that say that yes, the party should have at least 30% women candidate. And I think SPRM should also start to look into this and make it compulsory for the political parties to have these policies.
Astro AWANI is set to host a televised debate between Economy Minister Rafizi Ramli and Bachok MP Shahir Sulaiman, who is also past Assistant Secretary General. Now, we asked you, our viewers, what should be the focus of their debate should it take place? And here are the results of the poll at the bottom of your screen. All right, we'll take a quick break. Stay tuned for more.
Musim baharu bermula megah. Di sini, mereka bersedia untuk menaluki, bukan untuk mengalah. Pulangannya, piala pertama musim ini. Di sini, kehebatan kembali.
It is business as usual.
Di FA Community Shield, Man City menentang Arsenal secara langsung di Astro Supersport 4 dan Astro Go.
Asking the tough questions is what we do every day here on Astro AWANI. Catch me every weeknights at 10:30 p.m. across all AWANI platforms.
Welcome back. The Myanmar military partially pardons Aung San Suu Kyi in 5 of the 19 criminal cases charged against her. State media reports that she still faces 14 other cases and will remain under house arrest. The pardons to mark Buddhist Lent were part of an amnesty granted to more than 7,000 prisoners, including former President Win Myint, for 2 out of his 8 offences. This means a reduction of 4 years in Wee Min's jail term and 6 years in Suu Kyi's. Suu Kyi was sentenced last year to 33 years in jail for various offences, which she denies and is appealing at the Supreme Court. Meanwhile, the ruling junta on Monday officially postponed an election promised by August this year after its 2021 coup, citing ongoing violence. At least 11 people have died and 27 remain missing after heavy rains hit Beijing, China. More than 100,000 people across the city deemed at risk have also been evacuated. Among the dead were 2 workers killed on duty during rescue and relief efforts.
Storm Doksuri, a former super typhoon, has swept over the country since Friday when it hit the southern Fujian province. Meanwhile, the Hebei province remains under red alert for rainstorms, with the city activating a flood control reservoir on Monday for the first time since it was built in 1998. Amid this, China is already preparing for the arrival of Typhoon Kanun, the 6th such storm of the year, as it nears the country's east coast. Over in Japan, over 900 flights, both domestic and international, have been cancelled as Kanun approached the island of Okinawa. At least 20,000 residents were advised to evacuate their homes in the city of Naha alone. Other parts of the country saw severe weather as well, with some 15,000 households left without power in capital Tokyo and surrounding areas after a violent thunderstorm moved through.
In Western India, over a dozen workers were crushed to death when a crane collapsed above and under construction expressway outside the capital of Mumbai. Disaster response officials say 17 bodies have been recovered, while 3 injured people were taken to hospital.
The crane had toppled onto large concrete slabs during the night, and the debris fell down as labourers worked on the Samruddhi Expressway. The expressway connecting Mumbai with the city of Nagpur is part of an expansive road infrastructure push in one of the world's fastest growing economies. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has ordered for compensation to be paid to families of the deceased and injured workers. Accidents on large infrastructure construction sites are a common occurrence in India. In October last year, 130 died in Gujarat when a bridge collapsed shortly after it was repaired.
Australian police have charged a former childcare worker with over 1,600 child abuse offences against 91 children. Police say the alleged offences, which involve filming and distributing the content online, occurred between 2007 and 2022.
All the children allegedly offended against were prepubescent girls. We allege the 45-year-old man from the Gold Coast recorded all his alleged offending on his phone and cameras.
The man, yet to be named, was arrested in August 2022 and had since been in custody in Queensland. The offence allegedly occurred in 10 childcare centres in Queensland, one in New South Wales and another in an unnamed overseas country. He is facing 246 counts of rape and 673 counts of indecent assault against children. He also faces hundreds of charges for filming and distributing child abuse material. The suspect is next due to appear in Brisbane's Magistrates Court on August 21st.
A UNESCO Heritage Committee recommended delaying a decision to place Australia's Great Barrier Reef on a list of World Heritage Sites that are in danger. However, it says that the reef remains under serious threat from climate change and pollution.
In November last year, UNESCO and the International Union for Conservation of Nature recommended that the world's largest coral reef system be added to the list of sites in danger due to threats including rising ocean temperatures. However, UNESCO said progress by the Australian government on tackling carbon emissions and improving water quality in the reef meant further evaluation was needed before the site was added to the list. Australia has lobbied for years to keep the Great Barrier Reef, a major asset to the country's tourism industry, off the UN's in danger list. However, 4 mass coral bleaching events between 2016 and 2022 have severely damaged the health of the reef, which accounts for around 10% of the world's coral reef ecosystems.
That wraps up Awani Tonight. I'm Cynthia Ng. Thank you for watching and good night.
Karisma Nelia Sunrose on demand.
Beautiful.
Dia serba boleh. Berani meluah.